Hi everyone, Kennedy here from Our Friendly World, and in this video I'm going to show you how to make a slip knot and how to crochet a chain. So starting out with your slip knot, this is just a type of knot that is used often in crochet because it's an adjustable loop. Once the knot is tied, you can adjust how loose the loop on the other end is. I just want to practice this with you so that anytime you come across a pattern that starts with a chain, you'll know exactly how to start with your slip knot and make that chain. Starting with your yarn, you are going to make a loop, sort of a ribbon shape here. You're just going to make a loop laying one piece on top of the other. And now take a look at your loop and see which piece lays underneath. So this is my top piece and this is the piece on the bottom. Now reach through the back of your loop, pick up that bottom piece, and then holding on to all of the yarn tails, just tighten that up. And now you've created a slip knot, and I'll show you what I mean by an adjustable knot. When you put this on your hook, you can tug on either end of the yarn to loosen or tighten your knot. So that's why it's adjustable. If you're having trouble with that version of making a slip knot, let me show you one more way. With your yarn, you are going to wrap it around your finger twice. So here on my finger, I have 2 layers of my yarn. The back piece that's still connected to my skein of yarn, not this end, but the back piece that's still connected, you're going to move that loop in front of the first one, and then move the new back loop over that one and off your finger, and holding both yarn ends, tighten it up. And now you've created another slip knot. And again, to undo your slip knot, all you have to do is pull on both yarn ends and it comes right out. If you want to pause the video and practice with that a couple times, you can feel free to do so. Now let's go over how to chain in crochet. A chain is usually abbreviated as CH, so if you come across that in your pattern, you can always check out the abbreviation section to make sure that it is referring to a chain. To make a chain, start with a slip knot and put that on your hook, and then tighten it up. You don't want it super tight so that it barely moves on your hook, but you don't want a huge long loop either. You're just going to put that on your hook and have it fit your hook to where it can move loosely. There are a couple different ways to hold a crochet hook, and you can feel free to check out other videos from other creators online to see how different people hold their hook. There is the knife grip, which is what I tend to use, where you're holding your hook upward as if you were using it as a knife. And there is also a pencil grip, where people hold their hook angling downward. I've always had trouble getting good control with this, so I personally use the knife grip, but every person who crochets can figure out what works best for them. So feel free to take the time to try different variations of how you hold your hook and yarn. But I'm going to show you what I have found works best for me. Holding my hook in my dominant hand and the yarn in my non-dominant hand, I hold on to the knot with my ring finger and my thumb. And then I hold my working yarn, the yarn that is still connected to my skein of yarn, between my pointer finger and my middle finger. And again, not everybody does it the same way. There's not really a correct way to do it, just whatever makes you most comfortable and helps you get the control you need over your yarn. Once you have your hook and yarn held, you're going to make a chain. And to do this, you're going to yarn over, which just means put the yarn over your hook so that you can grab it with the hook, and then pull the loop through the loop that's already on your hook. And just like that, you've made one crochet chain. You can see this little V-shaped stitch here that you created is one chain. And now for better control, you can move your finger that's holding your yarn up. My ring finger and my thumb is moving up to the base of my working piece. So I'm holding on to that chain, holding my yarn, yarn over, and pull through the loop that's on your hook. And if your yarn is super tight to your hook, you're not going to be able to get another loop through there. So you don't want it super loose like this, but you do want it fairly loose so that it can move on your hook. You can yarn over and pull through again. So see, now looking at this, you can count the bumps on top, 1, 2, 3. I've made a chain of 3. And once you really get in the habit of this, you can go pretty quickly. And it does take some practice, so you can go ahead and take your time, readjust when you need to hold your yarn over, and pull through the loose loop on your hook. And now I have a chain of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. My chain is fairly even. The tension I used on my yarn, since I've practiced with crocheting so much, I have a very even tension. When you're starting out, since you're just getting control over your yarn, you might have tighter and looser loops like this because you're having a hard time holding on to it. If you ever want to back up and start over again, or just back up to a certain point, crochet is really easy to undo. You just take your hook out of the loop and tug on that working yarn piece, and it just comes apart. And this is called frogging, and you can even pull out your slip knot there. Frogging your crochet projects is never very fun, especially if you've made it far into it and you need to back up to fix something. But when you're practicing, it's nice that you can start over as many times as you want to get the hang of making your chain. So again, I made a slip knot. I'm putting it on my hook, leaving it loose there so that it can move on the hook. Holding my piece at the base of my hook, at the base of my piece there, holding my working yarn over, and pull through the loop. And this is how you make a crochet chain. This is often used to begin patterns that are worked flat in rows, and sometimes a chain is used even in the middle of a pattern or the middle of a stitch. You also typically create a chain at the end of the row when you're turning. So a chain is something you're going to be using a lot, so feel free to take some time and practice that. Now you've got a hook and some yarn in your hand, and you're really on your way to becoming a crocheter.